What's going on, everybody? I'm Patrick from POWLAX, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to introduce picks to your team using 2v0s, 2v1s, and 2v2s. This is going to be the first video in a series of videos where I gradually show you how to introduce picks and then build on those picks using different drills until you finally have a complete offensive concept, whether it's a freelance concept or a more scripted kind of offense. We're going to be glossing over some of the box picking concepts in this video, so if you haven't already seen the how to use and defend box picks video, you can do that by clicking this link up in the corner and then watching that video about all of the intricacies of using and defending box picks. If you'd like to download the drill PDF that's associated with this video so you can follow along and add it to your drill booklet, you can do that by clicking this link up here in the corner if you're on YouTube, and then the link in the description if you are on Facebook. It'll take you to patreon.com/POWLAX, where you'll have to contribute $1 a month because this is in the drills tier. The first thing that we want to do when we're introducing picks to our players is have them rep out the motions with no defensive players. And so the first drill we're going to do is our 2v0 skeleton shooting drill. And basically what this is going to do is it's going to show the players how they should be moving so that then once we add a defender, they'll already have repped through what the motions feel like. And so in this drill, we're going to set up 4 lines. We've got 2 lines up top on both sides and 2 lines on low boards on both sides. And basically what they're going to do is they are going to execute either a pass down, pick down, or an up pick and slip and shoot on goal. And so because we have a couple of different ways we can move through this, we are going to highlight the different looks on both sides of the floor. So on the left side of the floor, we're always going to have the players hit the slip. And on the right side, we're always going to turn the corner. Now, I always start with having the players hit the slip because it's really boring to just go up and set a pick. And if you don't integrate the slip early, the players will think that as they make the pick, they don't have to actually slip. The final thing about this diagram is that even though I'm running hit the slips on this side, turn the corner on this side, you're not going to run 2 separate styles of the drill on both sides of the floor. You're going to run the same drill on both sides of the floor and then kind of go through them. The first drill we're going to run is our pass down, pick down, where we hit the slip. So L1 is going to pass down to L2. He then is going to cut the middle before coming out to set a pick on L2's imaginary defenseman. Once L2 catches the ball, I really like to have them do kind of a double move where they come under and then come back over the top kind of against their imaginary defenseman, just so that we get the idea of occupying that defenseman rather than just kind of standing there and getting beaten on. But if you just want to have them kind of engage, you can do that too. As L2 comes off of the pick, L1 is going to slip to the goal and receive a feed from L2. As he continues, he then is going to take a shot on goal. Now, as he's slipping to the goal, we want a couple things to happen. So first, he has to turn towards the ball. He needs to stay with his stick in the left hand, and he needs to put his stick in front of him to catch the ball. We don't want him like this because once we get to the 2v2s and the switching, now he's going to have someone trailing him, so if his stick's behind him, he just needs to make sure he has it open and in front of him. Once that first rep is done, we have enough space here so that the next group, L3 and L4, can go right away after them. So this is a quick up-tempo drill where we go time and time again. Once the players have a good understanding of the fact that after they pick, they need to slip to the goal, we'll move to the turn the corner series. So R1 will pass down to R2. He will cut the middle, moving inside out to set a pick for R2. R2 is going to use his double move, come up over that pick. And now, rather than passing to the slipping player, he now is just going to turn the corner, get to the middle of the field, and shoot the ball. So as we're doing this, if we are not passing to the slip, we have to integrate a fake to the slip. So this would be just a simple look back fake. So as he's coming up over, we want him to just look back towards the slipping player so that he's always remembering that that player is our first option. Now, a couple of the other things you can do in this spot is you can have them come up over the pick and just shoot it. You can have them do kind of a rollback in space here. Once our players have a good understanding of how to run the down picks, now we're going to switch and we are going to go to up picks. So this one's going to start out a little different. we're always going to start with a pass across the top. So I'm going to eliminate R1's ball for now. And so now we are learning that as the ball switches sides, that's when we start whatever the side motion is. So we're going to have L1 pass the ball over to R1, and R1 and R2 will start. And then R3 will throw it over to L1, and then this side will start. So with our right side group, we are going to have R2, as he sees this pass going, he's going to come to the middle of the field and come up to set an up pick for R1. R1, once he has the ball, is going to drag his man. And so what I mean by drag is you basically stand like you're going to shoot and almost backpedal. And so as long as your defenseman is engaged in that sense, you're going to really set the picker up so that he can pick effectively. Now, as R1 comes off of this pick, he is then going to turn the corner, get to the middle, and take a shot. And like our pass down, pick down example, as he comes off of that pick, he wants to throw some sort of fake. Also, as he's coming off, he wants to use one of a couple of moves. So the one that I like most and the kids seem to like most is their wind-up face dodge or their wind-up spin move. And as they're coming down that alley, they can use kind of a backhand pump to fake to the slipping player. Now that we're on the slipping player, even though he's not going to end up getting the ball, he always has to slip. And that's why we really want to integrate that fake. Now, right after L1 throws the ball over to R1, R3 is going to pass immediately to L1 because both sides are separate except for this pass. As that happens, L2 is going to come inside out, set a pick for L1, and L1 is going to drag off of it, use his face dodge or spin move to come around the corner, and L2 is now going to slip to the cage, receive a pass from L1, and now he's going to come in and take his shot. So now as L1 is coming off of this, a lot of times, because he'll be dragging, he'll face dodge or he'll spin move, and then he's going to get to a position where his stick is on the opposite side of his body. Now from this position, the passes that I really like to have them try to throw is just their shovel passes. Another thing that you can do is, as they are protecting here, you can have them do a step back throwback where they actually get their hands up, but if you're going to have them do that, they have to step away as they make that pass. The final little modification that we can add to any of these 2VO skeleton shooting drills is we can add in a coach who kind of stands here or here, and the players will set their picks on a coach. The only concern I have with doing that is that the coach has to be able to watch the slipping player and how he is coming off of the pick. So if you can't watch the technique and these players all start turning the wrong direction, you're not really helping the players to learn how they need to pick effectively. So as long as you can watch the technique, maybe you even help them as they're doing it right there, that's what you have to make sure you're getting within these drills. Once the players have a good understanding of how they should move when they're executing the picks, we're going to add in one defenseman. And the reason we're adding in one defenseman is because there's always going to be an offensive read that is correct. And so regardless of what happens and what the defense does, we're either going to be able to hit the slip or turn the corner and score. And so on the defensive end, what we're going to work on exclusively is how to get through picks. How do we get around them? Do we push a player over them, or do we try to come underneath them? Like our skeleton shooting drill, we're going to be going over hitting the slip on this side and then turning the corner on this side. You can set this drill up in a variety of ways. I like to exclusively have the two sides, where we have two offensive lines and one defensive line on one side and the same on the other, so that players can come into and get out of the drill relatively quickly so we can get as many reps as we can. A great way to make sure that this drill moves quickly is that one group is going to be setting up while the other is going live. That way you can go from side to side really quickly without having to watch both sides of the floor. There are a couple of ways that we can move through our 2v1s and 2v2s. If we want our players to get reps on both sides of the ball, we can have the players go from offense to defense to out. If you're in our 2v1 set, that means that whoever touched the ball last on offense will leave the drill and the other player will play defense. With our 2v2s, both offensive players go to play defense. Another recommendation I have about moving through the drill is that you have each group go 3 times. That way they get consistent reps where they can try separate things in a quick succession so that they're not just moving in and out of the drill super quickly, kind of forgetting what they learned on the first rep while they are standing in line waiting for the next time they get to go. The final thing before I go over kind of the looks and everything is that we're not trying to hit a specific look. We want the players to read what happens and then make the looks. So ultimately, once we get through all of this building box picks, what we want the players to do is to read and be able to execute and be creative on their own rather than saying, you have to do this. But if we are going to hit the slip, here's what will most likely happen. L1 is going to pass down to L5. D1 will then come out to play him. He can use his double move to kind of keep him with him. And as that is happening, L1 is going to go inside out and come set a pick on D1. So because this is a hit the slip side, D1 is actually going to get through the pick. So as L5 comes off, D1 is going to push him around the pick. And now our slipping player is going to be open. So because D1 stayed with him, we have our automatic look of L1 is now slipping to the goal. Hopefully L5 will see that he is open, pass to L2, and then take his shot. So that's not the look that we have to run on that side. We won't progress through these, but if this is the read and this is the look, this is what we hope to have happen. Now, on our opposite side, when we're turning the corner, that basically means that the pick worked. So R1 is going to pass down to R2, D4 is going to step out to play him. R2 will use his double move, come up over the pick set by R1, and now the pick works. And so because the pick works and it frees up R2 over the top, he's now going to step in and take his shot. One of the keys to making this drill work well for building picks in general is you really want to have these players engage the defenseman. If they're freaked out by any type of contact and they don't want to get hit at all, it's going to make it very difficult for the picker to come down and actually set a pick. It won't hurt us here because they'll always be able to hit that slipping player, but once we get to 2v2s, they have to embrace that contact. Watch how this player does not really occupy his defenseman. He just kind of runs upfield, which makes it very hard for the pick to be set. Once we have the idea of our pass down pick downs, now we're going to move into our up picks. So our read, if we're going to hit the slip, is that the defenseman is going to stay with. So to start the drill, L1 is going to start to drag. L5 is going to come inside out, and he's going to set a pick on D1. So last time, what D1 did is he pushed the ball carrier over the pick. This time what we're going to have him do is we're going to have him step off, and he is going to move around the pick and then meet L1 on the other side of the pick. As that happens, L5 is going to slip to the goal, and now that L1 and D1 are running together, that leaves L5 in the middle. So his read is to hit the slipping player, and then he will shoot. Now, if we're going to turn the corner, that's going to mean that the pick is going to work. So R1 is going to drag. R2 is going to come inside out to set a pick on D4. This time the pick works. And as R1 turns the corner around the pick, he is now going to get to the middle and he's going to take his shot. As that happens, R2 is going to slip to the goal. One thing to note about the 2v1 picking is if this pick works well and the picker ends up goal side, so he is now coming to the cage and the player is turning the corner around the pick, they might both be open. So you can kind of pick how you'd like them to do it. Once again, before we go into our 2v2s, it's crucial that these players understand that they should be reading the play, not just doing exactly what a coach said. Like, if the defenseman stays with, they need to hit the slip. If the defenseman gets picked well, they have the option of turning the corner. We want to develop players that can read these plays, not that can be robotic and just do what we're asking them. Once our offensive players have a good understanding of the looks that they can find during 2v1s, and the defensive players have a good understanding of how to try to get through the picks, which is what we'd like to do for the most part, now we're going to go into our 2v2s. And within our 2v2 set, the offense is going to have to set good picks, good goal side picks where they slip to the goal that will create the openings. They're going to have to play a lot faster and make the reads a lot quicker. On the defensive end, now we're going to integrate all of the communications, how we're going to switch, and all of those things into our pick defense. As we're going through our 2v2s, because up picks and down picks have these same types of looks, we are going to go over the up picks on the left side and our down picks on the right side. And so within this, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you exactly what happens to get to the pick, and then we're going to go over all of the defensive reads and then all of the offensive reads. So within our up pick series, L1 is going to start with the ball, and L2 is going to push D2 into the middle and then come and set an up pick on D1. D2 is going to push him back as he's pushed to the middle, and then he's going to follow him out, kind of staying behind him so he can kind of read the pick. Now, L1 is going to drag D1 into this pick. Now for our down picks, R1 is going to pass down to R2. Once he passes, he is now going to cut the middle and press D5 into the middle before coming out and trying to set a good goal side pick on D6. D5 is going to push him back as he's pushed to the middle, follow him out so he can read the pick. R2 is going to make his double move or post up D6, trying to get over the pick, and D6 is just going to play defense on R2. Now, as the defenders are going out to the picks, they need to be communicating. They need to let the other players know, hey, pick coming left, or pick coming right, pick coming right. Because of how I set it up, both of the players who are watching the pick, D2 and D5, will both be saying pick coming left. Now I'm going to draw what it'll look like the actual moment the pick is happening, and we're going to discuss all the things that happen after the pick. So now we have a freeze frame of what's happening as the actual pick is going. And the first thing that we are going to discuss is our defensive reads. So the first thing that the defense can do is they can push through and get around the pick. So if D5 and D2 read that the pick isn't necessarily going to work or that they can get through, they're going to yell, get through. And so the players can do this in a couple of different ways. On our up pick side, we're going to have D1 press L1 outside and just stay with him. That way, he gets around the pick, no one has to switch, nothing is really going to happen. The other thing they can do is they can get under the pick. So if D5 lets D6 know pretty quickly, hey, you got a pick coming, he can step off of R2 and get around him and then step up through like that. And this is what we'd like to have happen from a defensive standpoint. We don't want to have to switch. We want both of our players to always be goal side of the offensive players. Watch how this defenseman is physical and pushes this player up over the pick that is coming to him. Now, if the pick works, we're going to have to switch. So as D2 is viewing this pick, if he sees that L2's pick is going to work on D1, he wants to yell out switch as L1 comes over. He's then going to go play him. And then D1's job is he's got to get back to goal side of L2 so that no one is closer to the goal than we are. Same basic concept for our down pick. As R2 carries around this, D5 sees that the pick is going to work. He yells switch. He gets over, and now D6 has to recover in to play against R1. And so one of the hugest things that kids will do here is the player who gets picked will call switch. He can't be the one to call switch because he doesn't know that there's someone behind him. You have to teach the players to read when a pick is going to be good and then have them call that switch. Here's a great example of a switch. This is one of the rare times where the player who's getting picked actually calls for the switch. Notice how the player who is going to get picked gets under the player who's going to be picking him to make sure that he maintains goal side leverage. Now we're going to go through some of the offensive looks. And so the first look that we want our players to find is if the switch doesn't work or they don't switch effectively, we want our players to turn the corner. So if L2's pick works really well and L1 comes off of this and D1's switch doesn't quite work, or maybe he just doesn't know, maybe he wasn't there, we want him to turn the corner, get to the goal, and score. Watch how this player carrying in uses a great face dodge and then uses his big size to engage the switching defenseman, pushes right through him, turns the corner, fakes, and finishes. Same basic concept on this other side. As R2 carries up over the pick, if R1's pick worked really well and this switch doesn't work, maybe it doesn't come up quick enough, then he can step into the middle and shoot. Now we'd like to get inside here, but one of the things I notice with a lot of the NLL games and a lot of the upper level games is a lot of times as they come over this pick, they'll just shoot right over the top. So if you've got somebody who has a pretty good shot and he can be pretty accurate with it, they can absolutely take a shot from the outside. The up pick's a little bit harder because his stick is to the outside. He could step back, get his stick to the middle, and then shoot, but you don't really see that quite as much. Another look that your players can find is as a player carries over the pick, the player who set the pick will slip hard to the goal, and this will create space for them to roll back and get inside. The next offensive look that we have is hitting the slip. So as L1 is coming off of this pick, if this switch works well and D2 defends him well, hopefully L2 set the pick correctly, goal side of D1, and now he is open on his slip. Once again, stick up in front of him so that as D1 chases him, he's not able to get to him. Then pass comes in here, he catches it, takes his shot. Here we get a great up pick where the picker is goal side. He slips to the cage and receives a shovel pass, catches, and finishes. This is basically a mirror image of the exact same play, but I had to include it because of this sick BTB feed. Same basic concept with our down pick. As this pick is set by R1, R2 comes over the top. He gets this switch. The switch works well. R1 is now goal side of D6 as he tries to chase him, and then the pass is threaded over. He catches it and finishes. Here we get a great down pick and slip. He slips goal side, accepts the lever pass, catches, and shoots. The final offensive look that we're going to cover is a pick to repick. And so basically what the players are going to do is once they come off of the pick and then slip for the pick, they are going to then almost come together again and set another pick. So for our up pick, as L1 comes off of this pick, whether D1 and D2 switch or not, we're going to say that he switched. L2 is then going to slip to the goal. Let's say D1 actually gets a little bit in front of him. He has to slip to the goal to get D1 to chase and play him, and then he's going to come right back out and set another pick on D2 now, and L1 is going to roll back up over the top. So when this happens, hopefully D1, who is chasing L2, is now not in a good position to play L1 coming over the top. On our down pick example, same basic idea. So he's going to come up off of this pick. Let's say that this time D6 gets through. Maybe R1 even let him through because he knew that this was coming. D5 is kind of going to stay with him. R1 is going to slip to the cage, try and get D5 to play him. Then R1 is going to come right back out to set a pick on D6, and R2 is going to roll back underneath. And once again, hopefully D5 has had to play R1 pretty closely, and now he's not in a position where he can switch effectively back to R2. Watch this player as he sets an up pick and slips to the cage. As the ball carrier carries down the floor, the picker is already inside again, so he just steps right back out, sets a down pick this time. The player with the ball carries over and takes a great shot. This is one of the more complex things you can run with picks, but it's really imperative that players know it so that they have something to do after they run their initial pick. So let's say we're in our down picks and we have a pass down, pick down, he comes off of it. This player has to slip to the goal. And so instead of waiting for this player to come back out, pass down again, and then set another pick, he can just come back and pick another time. Once again, I want to remind everybody that we want to put these players in positions where they can learn to make the reads and play for themselves. We went through a lot of different looks and things of that nature, but we really want to make sure that the players do them enough times to where they start making the reads, whether it's a read of a defenseman on whether or not the pick is going to work and what they need to communicate, or reading how the defense is playing them so they know what they should do next. I appreciate you guys for taking the time to watch this video. Definitely let me know what you thought down in the comment section. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe buttons if you enjoyed it. If you'd like to get the drill PDF, you can get that at patreon.com/POWLAX by clicking this link up here in the corner if you're watching on YouTube, or the link in the description if you are watching on Facebook. This will be a part of the $1 a month contribution drill tier. Have a good one. I will see you guys in the next video.